Welcome to the Rude Dog Show. This is Rudy Reyes. This is a new network for me, ladies and gentlemen. You should tune in on the Two Live Stews radio network. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show. Look, it's the same old Rude Dog Show with me, your host, Rudy Reyes. But you can't forget that there's so much more to this show that we have right here on Two Live Stews radio network that is the same. Great sports talk, great conversation. Make sure you get involved. Enter in the chat room. Let me know you are listening. I'm also Facebook Live as well on the Rude Dog Show on Facebook. So throw me a like. Let me know what your thoughts are and tell me how much you like the show. Feel free to interact with me here right on the Rude Dog Show. And thanks for tuning in. I want to invite everybody in to take a listen, take a view, and if you like what you hear, drop me a note. Let me know how you like the show. I appreciate your listenership. Something that will never change is listenership right here on the Rude Dog Show. I want to start this off in such a way that would lead you to believe that Chauncey Billups himself knew what was going on prior to when the Cavaliers received his denial letter. Or was it an email? Or maybe even a phone call. Maybe it was all the above. But you could assume great things as the general manager, to assume that you would do good things with personnel, decision-making processes in regards to how your coaches are, who they are, and what they're going to do for your system. And clearly the Cavaliers did not have enough to offer Chauncey Billups as being a part of their franchise. And of course, things are taking shape here, as early this morning I had seen something come across my news wire stating that LeBron James wants Kyrie Irving gone, and that there was possible physical fighting in relation to wanting him to go, wanting Kyrie Irving to leave. And it's starting to turn to a he said, she said circus. And I look at Chauncey Billups, I look at that situation. Look, that's a PR nightmare. If I was Chauncey Billups, I probably wouldn't want to have anything to do with that conversation. I believe that could be one of the reasons why Chauncey Billups did not end up being the general manager for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, in all fairness, Chauncey Billups deserved to be in that general manager position, and I guarantee an NBA franchise is probably talking to him right as we speak about becoming a general manager for their franchise. But I can tell you this much, he had a crystal ball. He already knew in advance what was going to happen before it did. And in all fairness, I look at Kyrie Irving not being able to be the superstar that he wanted to be, that he had shown during the regular season, what type of leadership he could provide that Cavaliers organization during the playoffs. Now, LeBron James, for whatever reason, did not play. Kyrie Irving decided to step it up and do what he does best. But let's be frank here. Billups knew in advance what was going on. He decided not to be part of the organization because he didn't want to have anything to do with the drama that was going to transpire. It's almost like he knew in advance. As the general manager, how could you not? Gilbert finds himself on the outside looking in as he decided to not be a part of the organization. And now who knows if he'll take a bid somewhere else, or if there's even an NBA team who's looking for him to take the reins. Look, on the part of the Cavaliers of what they were trying to do to sell him obviously was not enough. He didn't buy into it. In turn, there were no buyers. And Billups is a part of that list. Look, I certainly wouldn't want to be the go-between, the one having to be in the middle of the conversation, the one having to be there to break up this fight between two superstars, one more of a superstar than the other. But the only reason why Kyrie Irving is not the number one, LeBron number two, is because Kyrie Irving was shadowing LeBron James for the most part during the regular season, or at least from the time that he was in this organization, referring to LeBron James. And I like the fact that Kyrie Irving will have the ability, because he has the capabilities to show somewhere else that he has the player's mentality, he has the group mentality, he has the best interest at heart for whatever team wants to have him a part of their organization. But who knows what kind of image is going to be had here in relation to where the Cavaliers go now. Where do they go? What do they do? Who do they enter as their general manager? Who will be that person to play a part of getting this Cavaliers team not only back to a winning mentality, but back to a NBA playoff and possible finals conversation? Nobody knows yet. It still remains to be seen if he will in fact be the person to help the vacant, well, at least once was vacant. I believe they had inquired with someone. I believe somebody has stepped in as the interim, as I'm checking my news wire here, for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Look, there's a much deeper and deeply seated issue here with the Cavaliers organization that's beyond the surface. And what's at stake in the long term, nobody knows. But can this Cavaliers team get back to the NBA Finals? Can he get through to the playoffs? Nobody knows yet. That remains to be seen. I'd like to see this work out, but it's a PR nightmare, at least right now. I believe once Kyrie Irving decides to go somewhere else, or LeBron James finds a way to stop commentating, stop talking about it, and let it lie, which I don't foresee, because LeBron James, you know as well as I do, LeBron James, in the past, he got coach fired. He's made inquiries to players for which now they're playing with him and currently do. Deron Williams comes to mind, maybe even Derrick Rose. We'll talk about Derrick Rose here for a little bit in the show, because everybody needs to know about Derrick Rose. Look, you don't know a lot about Derrick Rose unless you realize that his injuries have taken him out of regular season runnings for this team to move forward, whether it be the Bulls or now with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I will say this for players trying to get out of the shadow of others, and that includes Derrick Rose. I'll put him in that conversation. The goals and achievements in this league are measured with team successes, and also something you will need to find individual successes outside of the hardwood as well. I speak of truths here when you think of what it takes for either someone who plans to becoming a superstar, takes planning and uses that methodology in whatever way he needs to take it in to make it his own or her own. The execution aspect is ideally something we sometimes fail at, and when we think we've completed something or something has been done to help us, to give us the reality, we're not going to succeed at absolutely everything that we do. We're certainly going to try. As an athlete, you have to recognize that you have to continue giving your all, doing your best, putting your best foot forward. Another euphemism, if you will. Look, the execution aspect, ideally, is something we sometimes fail at. That's just a matter of fact. You're not going to win every battle, but try to win the battles that you know you can win. Sometimes you're too afraid to fail. And what that means is you're not willing to try, work hard, and get out there and allow what you do to be shown through a variety of channels, albeit PR, networking, or even attending events, special events, as I was at the 2017 ESPYs. Anyway, this is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show on the 2 Live Crew Radio Network. I look at execution of a plan as being something that Derrick Rose is trying to acclimate to. He's been in this league for many years, has failed to acquire a championship, whether the talent wasn't there or his injuries prevented him from playing on the hardwood. It's been the case on both sides. Now, if anybody knows Father Time's Undefeated, I mentioned this here on the Rude Dog Show thousands of times, but the truth remains the same. Father Time's undefeated, and unless you realize what you need to do before you retire, at Gordon Bazaar on the show as well, we're talking about financial planning for NFL athletes and how to diversify the amount of monies that you have, so that way by the time you do retire, you have the endorsements. You've already chosen the people that follow you or that you follow as part of your inner circle that needs to be really tight. And not to take everybody and everybody's word for what they say. And once others recognize you have money, they're going to come knock on your door saying you're the You're my brother's uncle's cousin's daughter's son from my stepsister's side. Shut the door and move on. But as a player, as an athlete, you need to understand how to monetize what you do. Monetize your image. Michael Jordan did it with Nike. Now he has Jumpman. That should tell you something. He monetized his time, received the endorsements, did what he had to do. Does every NBA player know what it takes to be a superstar? Do they know what it takes to keep the money? And from putting it into the wrong hands, especially when you have it, people are walking up to you, "More Polish, please." Showcase it. Utilize the public. Utilize the relations you have with your PR agency to help get you out there further. If you don't utilize the tools, why are you paying them? For what reason? Derrick Rose certainly hasn't capitalized on it, and if he has, I haven't heard about it. I haven't seen it. I don't know what he's doing to make sure that he's sustainable from a financial aspect once he retires from the NBA. Something crazy that happened along Twitter. Probably interesting to know this. He could be the guy who fails within the first 5 months of the regular season with the Cavaliers. And I mean that not that it will actually happen, but his history suggests that's exactly what will happen. Derrick Rose, I think, has been more on the disabled list, if there's such a thing in the NBA, than he's actually had playing time for. But look, make no mistake, when Derrick Rose is on the hardwood court, the guy is dynamic. The guy is explosive. Purely explosive. He can get to the basket. He makes other people play better and look good. But again, always something eluding Derrick Rose. When you get into the spotlight, I don't know that there's that much of a positive spotlight for Derrick Rose. I may have heard from a variety of sources talking about how he's playing well and what he's doing for the Bulls, but very far few and in between. I look at Derrick Rose as a guy who can be a solid contributor, but what that means to Kyrie Irving is this signing is almost the same. When push comes to shove, we're shoving you out. But in reality, that's exactly what Kyrie Irving wants. He wants to leave. He's made it publicly known. Everybody knows this. You can get your news sources from everywhere. Sports news sources from everywhere. There is no mistake about it that Kyrie Irving wants out of Cleveland. I think that you're scratching the surface here when you're talking about what's really going on. I mean, out with the old, in with the new. Could that apply to Derrick Rose being the, well, sort of new? Yeah, he's a sort of new. Kyrie Irving is still a new guy. I mean, there is no question who the better player is. I'll take Kyrie Irving over even a healthy Derrick Rose any day of the week. Any day of the week. When you think about new additions to the Cleveland Cavaliers with that 1 year, $2.1 million contract for Derrick Rose, something to be said for, well, this is 1 year. This is one opportunity for you to showcase what you can do. If you can prevent being put on the bench because you're injured, and you can play throughout the entire season, depending on where the Cavaliers are at and how he contributes to that hardwood with the Cavalier group on it, whether it's starting or second team, it doesn't matter. If he shows that he can produce without being injured and they get to the finals, there'll be another conversation, and he'll have proven at that point why the Cavaliers have re-signed him for another year. Right? Right. I look at LeBron James, I think to myself, man, this guy has done everything he's wanted to do. He's put in the time, the miles, the minutes, the ability to be effective and have all the tools that he needs. Did they fall short in the Golden State Warriors in that Game 6? Yes, absolutely. He fell short. Because the amount of talent behind him did not do what they should have done. But you can't remember number 2. Nobody really remembers number 2. Who's number 2? When you think of the Golden State Warriors winning it all, you may say, well, that's exactly what happened. Cleveland Cavaliers didn't win. And that's what the Golden State Warriors did to win, not back-to-back years, but offsetting years in NBA championship. Golden State Warriors certainly making the acquisitions that they need to as well in order to keep guys there. You keep the continuity. You keep things rolling. That's exactly what you do if you're the Golden State Warriors. Cleveland Cavaliers, this is more of a, I wouldn't say a rebuild, but then again, when you look at the 2017 season, you think to yourself, well, will they get back to the finals? Do they have enough? Do they keep the right guys? Do they make the proper acquisitions in the NBA lottery? Well, that remains to be seen. I don't know that to be the case, but I can't confirm or deny that the Cleveland Cavaliers, even with this PR nightmare they're dealing with right now, will have anything to do with what they do in the regular season. But when you look at Derrick Rose, you think to yourself, he took 90%. 90% off of his regular salary he probably would have made had his agents wanted him to stay there, or maybe it was his decision. How much control is there? That is also another topic of conversation. Derrick Rose took a 90% pay cut to go and play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Was it a smart move? Was it a move that will make him a champion? A winner? Will he finally acquire the illustrious championship that he's been looking for? It's happened. It's happened. Golden State Warriors decided to sign Kevin Durant. And guess what happened? They won a championship. Why? And I'm not suggesting Kevin Durant is any Derrick Rose, because we know that that is not the case. But I look at Derrick Rose and I think to myself, man, I wish that guy would play and not get injured. Don't you? Wouldn't you want somebody that's on the hardwood court that's going to produce and be the leader that you know he can be? I guarantee he's looked at it 1,000 ways to Sunday. Will he be the guy? Does he want to be the guy? Will he put in enough effort and time in the offseason to make sure that he is the guy? Nobody knows but Derrick Rose. I think this LeBron-Kyrie situation is way out of control. Way, way out of control. Too much he said, no he said, she said. They're two male players. I like Kyrie Irving. I like him as a player. I like him as a person. But I don't necessarily agree with how LeBron James was handling this situation during the regular season, basically poking at him while he's sitting on the bench, telling him, why can't he play better? Well, he doesn't feel like he's number one. Case in point, Scottie Pippen was number 2 to Michael Jordan. Why? Because Michael Jordan stole the game. He knew what he had to do. He was a flashy one. He was a consistent one. But without Pippen, what would become of Jordan? But without Kobe Bryant, would Shaquille O'Neal would have received as many accolades and a statue out front of Staples Center? I'll answer no to both of those. I will say this, Derrick Rose had not have chosen a better team to go with because he fits the mold. He does. He knows his playing days, or at least the best of them, are behind him now. But because of the amount of talent and depth that the Cleveland Cavaliers had, who cares about them entering and hobbling in number 2 into the postseason and Boston Celtics being number 1? How quickly was Boston ousted from the playoffs? And where did the Cleveland Cavaliers end up? It didn't matter what position you enter in. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. I think think Rose can be a winner here and win big. I've never questioned his ability to be a winner. Never thought at one point in his life that he would never get to the point where he is right now. But look at it. Take a good look. Derrick Rose could be the determining factor as to whether or not the Cavaliers win. Yeah, you laugh now. You laugh now. But when the regular season comes up and you see Derrick Rose uninjured on the hardwood court, doing what he's needed to do, what he's been dying to do, and doing it because he's happy. Because he's a selfless player. Kyrie Irving, on the other hand, is much younger. He'll be 26 in March. And he's looking at trying to acquire another championship. And I don't blame him. But he can't do it with LeBron James, and I'm going to use this term loosely, in his way. Because that's where he's at right now. He's in his way. Do I like LeBron James, the player? Absolutely. Do I like the ability for him in an organization that had done nothing prior to him coming back to Cleveland, for which he was drafted to begin with, to win a championship? Do I think LeBron James certainly has a way to go from a personal standpoint? The answer to that is yes. Of course. As a side note of reference, I was at the 2017 ESPYs, and everybody was trying to grab an interview with Russell Westbrook. But you know Russell Westbrook. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. He doesn't even like the press. He doesn't even like the media. Is it because he asks them questions? I don't know. I've never had the ability to ask him a question. But he's not very friendly in that regard. But yet on the floor, he's a triple-double maniac. I look at LeBron James and I think to myself, this guy is 33 years old in December and will find himself more so on the way out because of his 50-plus thousand minutes that he's played in the NBA. Total. Between the Heat and the Cavaliers. But I think of a young star in Kyrie Irving and think to myself, man, this guy is yet to find his way because somebody there who is greater, better, much better than himself doesn't want to play second fiddle. And he shouldn't. Kyrie Irving has been known to play extremely well down the stretch and get people to recognize him. Was last year his reel to send out to other NBA teams? Yes, it was. It certainly was. There's no doubt about it. Other teams are looking at him and saying, you know, he's younger than LeBron James. LeBron James has a lot of miles on him. Are there any signs that LeBron James is slowing down? Maybe at the end near the finals, but he was tired. 40-plus minutes on the hardwood will certainly do that to anybody. I know I couldn't last 40 minutes like that playing at the level that he was. Did he commit costly turnovers? Yes. Were there decisions based on him being tired? Yes. But the fact that he has that many minutes under him makes me want to grab a Kyrie Irving a lot sooner than a LeBron James off the shelf. Don't forget, every player has Father Time sitting there with his hand on his wrist, tapping on his watch, waiting for them to commit to being done. And that's all sports. That includes golf. Yes, golf is a sport. And Kyrie Irving won't turn 26 until March, and you think that he's in his prime right now. Kyrie Irving is in his prime right now. He wants to win a championship because he wants to be the leader and not second fiddle to LeBron James. I think he would be a fantastic component on another NBA team, and you could easily find him as a premier point guard on another NBA team. Mark my words, it will happen. I think that Father Time isn't ever really well and truly mentioned in sports because every star feels, at least at one particular point in their career, Kobe Bryant, we were speaking about Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, these guys knew when it was done and when they were done. I look at the discrepancies between Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. One is more on his way out of the NBA than the other. I can't see LeBron James playing at the speed for which he's been playing up to this point. But you must question how much longer he can keep this up. And the two differences between these two players, could it be greater? Between age and experience, they played somewhat in simpatico this past season with some minor discrepancies, and they clashed on the bench this past season as well at times where LeBron James was, this is my perception, that he was belittling him because of his lack of play. That I don't know. But it was apparent that either one of them would have to find a way to play together as a finely tuned machine, because everybody knows that LeBron James can get people fired. And he can get them hired. This were writings on the wall, is what they were. When the king speaks, others tend to listen to him, amongst many others in the NBA. While James is there as a Cavalier, you may never see Kyrie Irving become the perennial scorer, much less a starter in the NBA, unless he finds another home. Now, don't forget, there are teams who had shown interest in Kyrie Irving way before you ever heard the big news about Gordon Hayward deciding where he was going to go, albeit the Boston Celtics. As everybody knows, the sidekicks aren't always the most notable throughout the league, or known as the runners-up. I'd like to see Irving acquire a starting role, especially a team who needs his athleticism, his leadership, and all those intangibles. Then and only then will you see him prosper, because if an athlete is happy, he or she tends to play that much longer, that much better. Certainly a lot to be said for Kyrie Irving and this situation. Go to cgiant.com, get your tickets, use the code RootDog. You may get something off of that. Make sure you go check out the RootDogShow.com. Throw me a follow on Twitter as well. I engage there quite frequently at RootDog Reyes. And this is Rudy Reyes on the RootDog Show on the Two Live Stews Radio Network. Here for about another 30 minutes. But make sure you tune in. Give me your chat. You like to chit-chat? Let me see your chit-chat in the chat room. This isn't seashells by the seashore, but it'll work. Need to switch gears here because, as you know, and I'm waiting for it, the NFL season is back. And unless you know that, you may not have a heartbeat. Training camps are on the horizon, and I'm beyond ready for the football season. Training camps are upon us. Of course, I am a Steelers fan, so I'm looking forward to the Steelers doing very, very well. I look forward to a lot of other teams doing equally as well. Atlanta Falcons getting back to the Super Bowl, perhaps, against the Steelers. Maybe. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, winners of Super Bowl 51. Makes you wonder how much longer Tom Brady can handle being under center, and what types of tools and tricks and tips Bill Belichick will give his aging quarterback under center this season. Look, I look so forward, as any NFL fan would be. I'm a fan too, but I'm not a homer. But any given NFL fan will tell you what they miss most about football. Is it the sacks, the touchdowns, interception return for a touchdown? Is it a forced fumble? Is it a gallant catch with one hand, tippy-toeing into the end zone with 1 foot with possession down on the ground, as it will be reviewed as a touchdown? I know I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for plays like that, league-wide. I appreciate the game as a whole, and I always have. That's one of the reasons why I started doing this. If you don't know who I am, I'll give you a brief rundown. I've been in broadcasting for about 4 years now. I've had formal education in the broadcast industry. And I started interviewing Pittsburgh Steelers players because I wanted to give fans a different perspective. Why not? Who doesn't appreciate perspective? Who doesn't appreciate a good conversation, understanding somebody behind the numbers, a story behind the touchdowns, a story behind the interceptions? Why not make that a big deal? Well, to me it is, and still is to this day. My first interview was Damon Cromartie, no relation to Cromartie Smith, Damon Cromartie. And I've interviewed the likes of Jeff Reed, Jerome Bettis, 6-time Hall of Fame runner for the Steelers. I've had Seth Joyner on my show. I've interviewed Sinbad. I've had Olympic gold medalist, four-time bronze medalist Allison Baber on the show. I've interviewed a plethora of guys and gals. Jennifer Lynn Gates works for Beasley Media Group. I've had Patricia Summerlin on, one of the Glow Girls. I've done this, and I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy bringing it to you right here on the Two Live Stews Radio Network. I'm Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show. I miss the struggles. Not only at training camp, I miss the struggles in the preseason. I look at the struggles offensively, defensively, and more so recently had a chance to view it in person. The 2017 WDFL World Developmental League Football Combine right here in Southern California at the Motivate facilities in Foothill Ranch. I've seen these hungry kids, these hungry young men, trying to make a difference, trying to be the man, trying to get to the next level. And I think to myself, man, these kids are still going to struggle. Some of them are struggling now, but the less you struggle now, you could struggle with even less by the time you get into the NFL. These guys are all bidding to get an opportunity to do just that, but you have to pay your dues. It's not really spoken about. It's not a favorite topic for most people. But if you don't pay your dues, how do you know what it's going to be like at the next level when you receive that $2 million package, $3 million package, $11 million package for 5 years? You don't know. There's no way to tell. But they're going to struggle. But you have to go through the struggles to get to the other side. But when I look at NFL training camps and I look at the preseason ahead of them, look, for those teams who lacked massively on both sides of the ball defensively and offensively last year, have the opportunity to get it right. Were there expectations for these guys to play much better on any given down, regardless of where they were playing? There's one team battling for that number one position, and that's Patrick Mahomes, who was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2017 NFL Draft. Of course, he's going to battle it out with Alex Smith. Not that I believe Alex Smith is the perennial starter for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't believe that the road to the playoffs will go through Alex Smith. They were very one-dimensional last year as the Steelers beat them twice, once in the regular season, once in postseason. At home, in Kansas City, and at Heinz Field. Am I worried about Patrick Mahomes? Not necessarily. He's got solid athleticism. He's a great player. He has all the intangibles. He understands his reads. He knows his progressions extremely well. Well, there are a lot of quarterback conversations too. Who's the starting quarterback for the New York Jets? Had Kelvin Beachum on. Kelvin Beachum said, it doesn't matter who's starting under center, I need to do my job. And he is exactly right. If he doesn't do his job, how can he expect everybody else to do their job? Is Christian Hackenberg the quarterback there for the New York Jets? I don't know. I would suspect that he would do much better. There's going to be a starting quarterback for the Houston Texans. They traded off that horrible monetary acquisition for which they're still paying for. Houston Texans took a huge gamble. I can't even mention his name. He's so bad. I can't even utter the words off of my lips. But make no mistake, Savage should be the heir apparent for the starting position there for the Houston Texans. I like Savage. He's going to play very savagely. I'll tell you that right now. Houston Texans certainly have a gem in him. But there is room. There's room to grow. It's always room to grow, especially in the NFL. You know, look at the varieties of battles, offensively and defensively, between the newcomers and the second-year players who may not have had the type of season last year that they were looking to have, or much less have the ability to perform at the expectations. Their own expectations probably superseded everybody else's because of their own worst critics, especially quarterbacks. They're very hard on themselves. Incompletions, interceptions, all of those. That's a 1-2 punch for these guys. They have the ability to overcome those obstacles, but again, those expectations they had last year, coaches' expectations last year, it's all hindsight. It's all hindsight now. You witness untimely injuries to your favorite NFL stars, whoever that may be. You've seen Derek Carr go down for the Oakland Raiders. He was done for the season. But right now, it's not about what happened last year. It's not about the interceptions last year. The forced fumbles from last year if you're a defensive guy. If you're a linebacker, if you're an outside linebacker, if you're a defensive end, and you're part of the pass rush, it's not about the tackle you missed. It's about the tackle you're going to make moving forward in the 2017-2018 NFL season. Means not for long if you don't play well. And that's a fact. Teams will give you so many opportunities, just like that in baseball, so many opportunities, just like in basketball, so many opportunities that if you don't cut the mustard, you're gone. You'll be benched in favor of somebody else who's hungrier than you are to make sure that they get it right the second time around. Some of these guys don't have that option. They don't have that wiggle room. They didn't win a championship. They didn't get to the second round of the playoffs. They didn't get to an AFC championship. They didn't get to an NFC championship game. You have to give credit where credit is due for those players who have committed to getting better, committed themselves to the game, and committed to be a better person inside the locker room and outside the locker room, which brings me to another point. You look at the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think there's a lot going on right now, and I think to myself, you got issues. I'd interviewed Orlando Scandrick, the elder statesman there in that Cowboys secondary. He doesn't consider himself old. Even though he's the most experienced guy in that backfield, he doesn't want to be called the elder statesman. He doesn't want to be called the older guy. And why should he? He's not even that old. But when you look at the things that are going on right now in this Cowboys locker room, something has to be done. Jerry Jones did admit when Tony Romo was over the hill, quote, unquote, over the hill, because he was. The timely manner for which he allowed him to stay around was to see if Dak Prescott was going to fail. Did you see Dak Prescott fail? No, not really. But he was a rookie. So you expect failure. As a coach, you expect failure from a rookie player. That's standard issue. They're making headlines for the wrong reasons, not for the right ones. Dallas Cowboys, nothing but abysmal right now. Lucky Whitehead, arrested. Other guys facing disciplinary action by the Cowboys and could face disciplinary action, including Ezekiel Elliott, for fighting with a guy at a bar. You do not know how to conduct yourself at a bar? If you know that you're 265 and all muscle with 3% body fat, if that, and you can't control yourself from a guy who's $165 soaking wet at 5'4", you don't think you could take him out using the intimidation factor of your weight and size? Shame on you. That's appalling. And Dak Prescott about him signing memorabilia, that wasn't really his signature. It was a stamp. Will he have this all figured out before the preseason? Maybe. I doubt it. Well, look what's going on. They're imploding from the inside out. On the inside out. Don't get me wrong. Do they have the opportunity to win the NFC? Yes. There are a lot of teams in front of them right now. Green Bay Packers come to mind. Atlanta Falcons come to mind. Philadelphia Eagles have bulked up in the offseason. They come to mind. There's a lot of other teams. I think the Dallas Cowboys find themselves maybe at a 5 in relation to position in the NFC overall at getting into the playoffs. And that's before the season even starts. There's so many issues going on with the Cowboys right now. I don't know if the Cowboys recognize what the Cowboys are doing themselves. They're shooting themselves in the foot, not only from a legal standpoint, but from a camaraderie standpoint. Those are detractors. Those are taken away from what you're trying to accomplish, which is unity, which is gelling on the field, which is enabling everything good to happen for your organization without all the distractions. Lucky Whitehead said the Cowboys called him a straight-out liar, saying that the Cowboys themselves wrongly accused in a shopping case. What is this going to end? When do these guys recognize? He claims that somebody else uses his Social Security card. How do you not know? How do you not know about this? If you're a Cowboys organization, how do you know that guys that are on your roster are getting into trouble and there's no defense for them? This is dissension in the locker room 101. I'm not bashing the Cowboys organization. What I am saying is that there's a lot of dissension going on right now, and a lot of that dissension is from that locker room, and it's imploding. Someone needs to get to the bottom, and fast. Very, very fast. Things aren't going to be the same unless they realize what they have to do, when they have to do it, and get it done. And of course, to save face, Dallas Cowboys cut Lucky Whitehead, just for those that do not know. This makes you wonder what's really going on. I think when you look at the NFL, it's a not for long. Some of these guys shouldn't even have jobs. They shouldn't even be there. They just should not be there. If you're causing problems, you're causing issues, you got to go. You got to go. There can't be any exceptions. Regardless of the position that you're in, other teams have removed other players for less. Because they recognize that in the field, you're either a positive or you become a negative. And then what? You become a detractor. You become a negative. You become somebody that NFL teams shouldn't want on their roster. Some notes and news around the NFL in relation to training camps. Arizona's training camp has clearly already started. Rookies and veterans on July 21st. Makes you wonder what they're going to do with the replacement of Calais Campbell. Atlanta Falcons rookie and veteran training camp opened up yesterday. Opens up tomorrow in Georgia. Make sure you grab your gear and head out there if you're a fan of the Atlanta Falcons or if you're in the area. Ravens started on the 19th for rookies, 26th for veterans. That I don't understand. You wait an entire week to get your veterans in there when they have to mix and gel with the rookies. That happening in Owings Mill, Maryland. Jeremy Macklin, as well as Danny Woodhead, obvious position players for the Baltimore Ravens that look at making an impact early there. Buffalo Bills, their training camp opens tomorrow in Pittsford, New York. Sean McDermott, former defensive coach for the New York Giants, now heads off the defense there in Buffalo. Question is whether or not players can really get acclimated to that 4-3. That remains to be seen. I don't know. Carolina Panthers open up their training camp tomorrow as well. So a lot of action going on in the NFL in relation to training camps. Spartanburg, South Carolina, Wofford College. And I want to see what they're going to do with Christian McCaffrey. I want to know how they work him in to that offense, if he's going to be a blocking back or if they're going to send him in the slot, or exactly what they're going to do with Christian McCaffrey remains to be seen, but hopefully they get him involved sooner than later to relinquish the pressure off Cam Newton. Chicago Bears open up tomorrow as well at Olivet Nazarene University in Bourbonnais, Illinois. Now, I didn't like the overall pick that they had pushed up for to grab Mitchell Trubisky. And is Trubisky much better than Mike Glennon? I don't know. Mike Glennon did a lot of great things while he was with Tampa Bay. That remains to be seen. I'd like to think that Glennon doesn't sleep a wink over this in lieu of Trubisky, who's done nothing but great things while he was in college. Cincinnati Bengals, their training camp started today for the rookies and a couple days for veterans. Again, something I don't understand and probably never will about the Cincinnati Bengals. Cleveland Browns started 4 days ago. Cleveland Browns having one of the better drafts in recent memory, at least for the Cleveland Browns. I think overall I had given them a A-, but did very good. Starting at Berea, Ohio. Is Kaiser better than Osweiler? If you look at my face, you could probably tell the answer without me having to say a word. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show, a Two Live Stews Radio Network. I'm your host, Rudy Reyes. Dallas Cowboys already reported, already have issues. And of course, they're all appearing in Oxnard, California. Not too far away from me, probably about 2 hours. Denver Broncos started with the rookies on the 23rd, 26th. For the Denver Broncos. Detroit Lions on the 31st of July, probably the later dates for training camp in Allen Park, Michigan at the Lions training facility. Really nothing to see there unless you can get in. Will Greg Robinson have the better battle versus Congio? I don't know. Green Bay Packers report tomorrow at St. Norbert College and Nishiki Field. Will Ty Montgomery be the best at the running back position for the Green Bay Packers? That I don't know. Will he share with Jamal Williams in the preseason? I bet that will happen. At least it should. Texans reported today, in fact, I think Deshaun Watson still has a year. I don't think that he was the best quarterback picked in this past year's NFL draft. I think he'll have to wait under Tom Savage for a while, or if something happened. I know, Freddie, you're wondering about those Seahawks. I'm getting there. Jacksonville Jaguars, July 19th, already started for the rookies. 21st for the veterans at Everbank Field in Jacksonville, Florida. And I want to see what Leonard Fournette does. The guy was a beast at the combine, picked high in the draft. Jacksonville Jaguars need a guy like that. And I'd like to see what they end up doing with him. Kansas City Chiefs already started yesterday for the rookies, 27th for the veterans in St. Joseph, Missouri, Missouri Western State University, WSU. And again, talking about Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, who will end up where, when, how, and why. And I think that I give the edge to Patrick Mahomes. That is also another challenge in of itself. LA Chargers kicking off in 3 days. In Costa Mesa, California at the Jack Hammett Sport Complex. Not too far from me as well. Look, 2 years ago, we didn't have any NFL in Los Angeles. And now we have the LA Rams, not very good, and the LA Chargers, not very good. In Los Angeles, did I say not very good? Yes, there's no echo in here. They didn't do very good, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. A clap? Maybe they'll be better. Maybe that's why they're clapping. Maybe they're going to be better this year. I don't know. Maybe both teams will be better this year. That remains to be seen. I hate using that term, but it's true. There's so many variables here in the NFL. You never know what's going to happen. And of course, the LA Rams take on their training camp tomorrow with the rookies, 28th for the veterans at UC Irvine, which is not too far from me as well, probably about 45 minutes. Miami Dolphins going on already for the rookies. Veterans report tomorrow. They play over at Nova Southeastern University in Davie, Florida. And I want to see what Larry Tunsil does without a respirator for those Miami Dolphins. He did great last year. We'll see what happens. He was banged up towards the latter part of the season, so we'll see. Minnesota Vikings started 3 days ago for the rookies. Tomorrow the veterans will show up there in Mankato, Minnesota. And, of course, Teddy Bridgewater still with the walking boot, unsure what he's going to do, if he's going to even play, but right now reported to be on the PUP list. So we'll see what happens. New England Patriots, of course, on the 24th, which started yesterday for the rookies, 26th for the veterans. And I want to see how Tom Brady can stay and play at the speed for which he has with that Bill Belichick front line. That ought to be very interesting to see. And, of course, the New Orleans Saints grabbing Adrian Peterson off the free agent market. New Orleans Saints certainly looking at him probably a lot more tomorrow, since that's when the veterans arrived. The rookies already arrived July 19th. Giants to 27th, Quest Diagnostics Training Center in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And I don't know that Odell Beckham will be as good this year. I would suspect he would. I think Eli Manning is his window of opportunity is closing as well. I don't know how that's going to work out, and whether or not either McCown or Hackenberg. I think that's all dependent. When you look at the NFL season, you look at these guys making the transitions, making the moves between these rosters, whether it's AFC to NFC or NFC to AFC, these guys really need to find out if the places that they're at will work for them. If they can revive their career, that's another story. If they can't revive their career, they need to end it and call it a day. And of course, the New York Jets, as aforementioned, with that interview, Kelvin Beachum, 28. Everybody reports there is no separatism going on there between the veterans and the rookies. They're all starting on the 28th. And again, don't know who's going to take that under center position. But my guess is it's got to be somebody good. And I don't know who it is. Oakland Raiders started yesterday for the rookies, 28th for the veterans in Napa, California, which is about 7 hours for me at least. At the very least, is Derek Carr ready to go? Is he able to make a comeback after the injury preventing the Raiders from grabbing that AFC West crown? That remains as well. Philadelphia Eagles, July 24th, started for the rookies. Tomorrow for the veterans. Rookies look pretty good. Alshon Jeffrey looks like he's at home, and Torrey Smith also looks like a perennial starter. And will Carson Wentz see better grounds? Will he see more completions, more completions and less interceptions this year into his second year, of course? And day after tomorrow, with no Le'Veon Bell present, the Pittsburgh Steelers will head to Chuck Noll Field. I was there in 2014 in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And I don't know that Le'Veon Bell will hold out. I don't think it's to his advantage that he does. I'd like to think that he would certainly have came to a deal. I mean, there are no winners or losers here other than the fans, because they're not able to see Le'Veon Bell play. Steelers can't really diagnose what he will be on the field as far as how dynamic he is, how fit he is, how in shape he is. But I think that there's no holdout for Le'Veon Bell, and they come back to reality and get Le'Veon Bell back out on the field. San Francisco 49ers, they show up tomorrow for the rookies and, of course, the veterans. Always the 27th. 27th seems to be the veteran-type holiday. And, of course, with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan adding a friend of mine, Nick Ferguson, to the defensive coaching list, certainly is doing great things. And a noticing trend, nobody wants to talk about this. This isn't the flavor topic, but there are a lot of women in the NFL right now making moves as coaches, whether they're interns or whether they're there, whether it be the Arizona Cardinals, whether it be the San Francisco 49ers. These teams are making moves to get women a part of the game. Will you ever see female players? That's not even for me to speculate. I wouldn't even suggest that. There are a lot of female NFL equivalent teams that are out there, so I don't foresee the NFL doing that anytime soon. But you never know. Times are changing. Seattle Seahawks, as you just inquired about, Freddie, will start in 3 days in Renton, Washington, at the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. So stay tuned to that. I know you're going to go. Are you going to go, Freddie? Of course you're going to go. You want to see Eddie Lacy there. I know you do. Scratchy Marshawn Lynch, who headed over to the Oakland Raiders. I wonder how well Marshawn Lynch will look in that seafoam Seattle green. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, rookie camp starts today. And, of course, veterans start on the 27th. Hopefully Dante Addae has a better season this year than he did last year. And will Deshaun Jackson, O.J. Howard get up to speed quickly for that Tampa Bay team? Tennessee Titans not doing so well. However, I want to say a personal hello to Markel Beckwith, who I had the pleasure of interviewing, was a late addition to the Tennessee Titans team. Feast mode, that's interesting, Freddie Ramirez. Tennessee Titans not looking very good. I don't think they're going to do a whole lot. Look, the AFC South is getting better and better all the time. I don't know that the Tennessee Titans are turning that direction to become the perennial team and win that division. They were close last year. We'll find out how close they are this year. Washington Redskins, last but not least, July 26th, for rookies and veterans of Richmond, Virginia. And, of course, the Cousins conversation. Why didn't they pay him more? Why didn't he make this? Why didn't he make that? Bottom line is this. Kirk Cousins is your guy, at least for a while. For a while. How long? That I don't know. But for a while at least. Could they have done much better in trying to acquire a longer-term contract with Kirk Cousins? Yes, maybe they should have. But the bottom line is that when you look at a guy like Kirk Cousins, you look at the inconsistencies. Do they outweigh the types of throws that he did make when he was being successful? That's a big question. And, of course, nobody has more answers than that than those NFL players, those NFL teams, those NFL coaches. I hope everybody enjoyed this show. This is Rudy Reyes on the Two Light Stews Radio Network right here on the Rude Dog Show. I will be at Pac-12 tomorrow interviewing lots and lots of players and coaches. It's a 2-day experience. So it's at the Rose Bowl. If you can get in, get in. If you can't, then I don't know what to tell you. You'll have to wait. Get some snapshots of your favorite players. Maybe as they enter in, there's not going to be a whole lot there. But what they're going to have is a Pac-12. Or you should know what the Pac-12 is. Anyway, this is Rudy Reyes on the Two Light Stews Radio Network on the Rude Dog Show. I will see you guys on Friday. Anyway, this is Rudy Reyes. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in.